Hello, this is Nick and welcome back for Game 4 of my South Coast GT 2012 Battle Reports. This is Game 4 against Daniel Bailey and his Wood Elves. So this is the first game of Day 2, Sunday morning. The draw had gone up on Twitter sometime the night before, and I was a little bit annoyed at seeing that I was drawn against Wood Elves. There are 7 of us in a field of 160 odd, and you don't really want to meet one of the only other Wood Elves. But Dan, in fact, for his game 3 on the Saturday, had just come off a 20-0 loss to Tom Richards of YouTube fame and his Wood Elves, which again was slightly unfortunate for me because it means that he knows the matchup. So anyway, let's go on to his deployment and his list. So on his far right, so my far left, he has a Treeman and a Treeman Ancient. I can't remember for the world of me which one is which in this picture. A Great Eagle, behind that a unit of 10 Glade Guard, another unit of 10 Glade Guard, a unit of Wild Riders in front of them, some Dryads which he has put out in a skirmishing screen to shield his 2 other units of Glade Guard there, and at the back that's his BSB on a Great Eagle, which isn't a bad idea because I often find that my BSB isn't quite where I need him to be, so it'd be something that I'd be willing to try out in the future. And then on his far right, another unit of Dryads and a unit of Glade Guard. On my far left I have a small unit of Glade Guard and my big unit, my big bunker with again the BSB and the mage in there. Bit of a habit, but there wasn't too much that I could suffer from doing this in this game. And I as well have been rather boring and shielded them with my Dryads. Next to them a unit of Glade Guard without Dryads in front of them, but they're protected by that wall, so my turn 1, my plan is to just push up and hide behind that cover. Next to them a unit of Dryads protecting a unit of Glade Guard. Then my Treeman, my Treekin and my Treeman. I've positioned them basically because at the top of the screen there, we decided that was impassable terrain. And I put them there because he had so many more drops than me. I didn't really know until late on where he was going to actually deploy most of his guys. So I started off by putting these 3 big things there in the middle of the board. So basically at least one Treeman and the Treekin were going to get stuck in. And you can't see it, but on my far right he is actually Scout unit of Way Watchers, which turns out to be a bit of a mistake on his behalf. So in my turn 1, I push up with everything. I move the Dryads away from the big bunker, again figuring that it's long range, there's enough of them, they shouldn't panic, and my plan was to magic them up with either the regen spell or, more importantly, Flesh to Stone. But basically I wanted a clear line of sight. And on my right, push up, so one unit of Glade Guard takes that bunker, the other one stays nicely hidden behind his Dryads. I'm happy to forego some shooting at this point, just to keep my units intact. I've got 2 units, basically if I can get the ascendancy on him in the Glade Guard shootout, as soon as I've whittled off one of his units, I'm basically going to win that one. So yeah, you can see the Treekin are pushing up, and on my right, my other Treeman moves to his far right and strangle roots off his unit of Way Watchers, rolled a 10 on the artillery dice, boom, gone. But unfortunately that does mean that this Treeman is effectively out of the game. So in my turn I managed to get Flesh to Stone off on the big unit, and I am able to shoot off his unit of Wild Riders. As you can see, they are no longer there. So in his turn 1, he pushes up with his Dryads on the right. I wasn't quite sure why he was doing this, because basically what he's done is he has given me a unit of Dryads with my Treekin, who will be able to overrun into the second unit of Dryads and eventually be behind his lines a lot quicker than they had any right to be. So I'm not quite sure what was going on in his mind there. He moves up his Treemen. One of them, he tries to stomp the Dryads with one of them, doesn't really pull it off, and on the right hand side his shooting isn't really effectual. He can't get anything off the big Glade Guy unit, and he just pops a couple of Dryads. So in my turn, I push up the Dryads to redirect one of his treemen, which turns out to be the normal treeman. The slightly more stunty one on the right, I think, was his treeman ancient. And on my right, my treekin charge into his Dryads. Oh, sorry. Apparently he did more than just whittle off a couple of the Dryads. One, like, I'm down to one, so he's just running away to save 120 points there. And I just push up with the tree man and with my Glade Guard. So yeah, as you can see, so the way my treekin are, I've maximised, and once I kill him, he's going to break. He's going to lose this combat. I'll either kill him outright or he's going to run, and I'm just going to overrun straight into that second unit of Dryads. So on my left, I move my BSB out of the big unit so that he can basically shoot at something other than the big 24-man bunker. The reason being that I want the big 24-man bunker who have flaming magical attacks to shoot at the tree man at short range. He will only have a 4-up armor save against it, and all it takes is a bit of luck and I can take him down. And that frees up my BSB to use his Hell of Doom to basically wipe out a small unit of Glade Guard. So there we are. Which, unfortunately, as you can see on the left there, I pour shots into that small unit of Glade Guard. Like I said in my first game, for every game, you know, it's the Hail of Doom arrow is very polar opposites. I'll either get 17 odd shots off or 6. So I don't quite manage to take off that whole unit of Glade Guard, but he is severely reduced and he is not going to be able to get back into this battle. And as you can see, in my combat phase, the tree can absolutely wipe out that other unit of Dryads to the man and overrun into his second one. It was so nice for him to line them up there for me. So yeah, that's how many Glade Guard I took off. Yeah. So that's my Dryads redirecting his tree man. Now what I hadn't thought of was so here we are. So in my shooting phase, I managed to nick two. I got 2 wounds through onto his tree man, which of course, because I was flaming, doubles it up. So in his turn, he declares a charge with his tree man ancient onto my BSB's unit, who I decide to flee with. And he decides to redirect into my big bunker, and on the stand of shoot, I managed to take off his last wound. It was a bit risky on his behalf. He reckoned, you know, I'm on 4s to hit, 6s to wound. He's got a 4-up save. If I'm a bit unlucky and don't get anything through, that could be game for him, because he can put his tree man into my mage and just grind me out. So, you know, he took a risk, didn't pay off. What's he going to do? So yeah, so there you can see that my BSB's units flee. So in his turn, he charges the tree man into the Dryads because he doesn't really have much of a choice. His shooting is fairly ineffectual again because he's lost too many. On his right, he's basically pushed up to try and shoot at my tree man, which he doesn't pull it off. He doesn't have magical attacks. I've got a 4-up armor, 5-up ward. He doesn't get anything through, unfortunately for him. And yeah, his tree man just wipes out my Dryads. And as you can see, my treekin made short work of second unit of Dryads, and like neither of us really paid attention to this, but he forgot to move his Glade Guard out the way, so I just overran into his unit of Glade Guards on the right there. So at this point, we're both thinking it's going to be a 20-0. So in my turn, I rally the BSB's unit, turn it to face this Great Eagle, who he's sent around my flank to try and take off some characters, I think. And I push up with the 2 units of Glade Guard to try and nick off some wounds off that tree man, and I leave him on 2 wounds. My tree can make very short work of his unit of Glade Guard. I decide not to charge my tree man, and rather I push up and strangle root. Try and do a bit more damage shooting first. And yeah, so in his turn, I think he decides, he turns the tree man around, moves it up to face my bunker. He's close enough that even if I shuffle back, I'm too close to be able to stand and shoot him. So I have one last turn of shooting to try and take him out. And he flies up his BSB. As it turns out, his BSB has a 3-up ward against non-magical attacks and a 2-up ward against flaming, so he's pretty safe out here by himself. In my turn, I managed to shoot off his BSB, his Great Eagle, and unfortunately, I failed to take any wounds off his tree man, which is so annoying. So annoying. I just needed one. Anyway, so instead, my guys have taken some wounds from Strangleroot, so I swift reform them, push back, but I'm just not far enough. And in his turn, he just charges right through them with the Great Eagle and the Tree Man. Not much I could do, really. At this point, it's kind of turn all the Glade Guard around and hope I can shoot these two beasties off. And at the top end of the board, his mage had bailed out of his bunker, and is cowering in this last unit of Glade Guard with a lot of angry tree spirits bearing down on it. One of them being the tree man who's finally got himself into the fight from the far right. And at the top of the screen here, you can see my other tree man who's gone hunting for his last Great Eagle. And here he is, returning triumphant. In his phase, he gets his tree man into my BSB's unit. Again, just not managing to get anything done with the stand and shoots. But basically this just grinds out. I'm able to just I'm steadfast, I'm not going anywhere. I think he might get my BSB, I'm not sure. And at the top of the screen, my tree man charges his mage's bunker, and he rolls a 10 for his terror check, and runs off the board. There we are, rolls a 6, and he's off the board. Very, very unlucky for him, very lucky for me. That nat bags me stupid numbers of VPs. So this is how the board looks at the end. Lots of paper, lots of very, very complicated calculations going on. But it looks like he didn't get my BSB. I think I just about managed to survive that one. But basically, he has a tree man and his BSB left. I have 3 units of Glade Guard, my BSB, 2 treemen and treekin, and it turns out to be an 18-2 win for me. We said at the start of the game, in a wood elf off like this, it was pretty much down to whoever got first turn. But I mean, it wasn't as bad as I thought. Sure, I mean, I didn't take any of his shooting off in my first turn of shooting. I took off a unit of Wild Riders, hoping to panic something. But then I think I just got a bit lucky with the dice, really. Managed to take off his tree man. I mean, this is the kind of game where the 25 points for the magical attacks really does pay for itself. Just taking away his 5-up ward, even though I wasn't able to, you know, take off the last wounds on that second tree man. But hey ho, I got the Ancient at least, which is worth an extra 50 VPs, I think, which is always good. And a nice way to start day 2 of the tournament. Hope you enjoyed this one. I'll see you for game 5.